Okay, welcome. Glad to see everybody, sort of. And with a couple of weeks to go, we like to get together just to kind of give you some broad tips, advice, do's and don'ts for these last couple of weeks, to give you maybe some more structure and advice as to how to use the program a little more efficiently. And so you go into the exam with as much confidence and consistency as you possibly can. So, for those of you that were taking any kind of a bar course, either it's the lectures are over or it's going to be over in a day or two, but the primary part of the course is over. And of course, for those of you that have been on your own anyway, so now I got a lot of time. And hopefully the learning part, the lectures, the outlining, the cards, all that stuff is behind you. Always be reviewing. I'm going to talk about that. But now the number one problem I think that so many students get into is they overcompensate, meaning they either just do tons and tons of questions or tons and tons of review, and there isn't that balance between the two. Also, again, whatever jurisdiction you're taking, if you're taking both parts, the writing element, the essays, MPT, whatever, again, Florida multiple choice if you're down here. So a lot of people overdo one part to the negligence of the other part. And again, that's where I think the balance is so important. In so many jurisdictions out there, every point counts, right? You're not looking for a number, you're looking to get as many on both parts and then get the average and you're okay. So when you say, I'm really struggling with MBE, I still don't like MBE, so I'm just going to do my writing, the MBE score goes down so much it's very difficult to get the average and vice versa. So even if you're feeling much better with MBE, which I hope is the case, gaining that confidence, gaining the consistency, you can't stop practicing those essays and or the MPTs because one more rule, one more good paragraph, a couple more points really goes a long way. So these are some broad strokes, broad ideas in terms of daily prep, just kind of keeping some structure. So I like breaking the day up because again, a lot of people don't know what to do. Some days I little property, some days some multiple choice, some of this, some of that. Me, and again, I'm going to talk about both communities out there. First time takers, you got the whole day. Other people who are working, coming home 6, 7 o'clock. Okay, I got limited time. What should I do? You're sitting for the first time. Okay, I'm a big person in getting the MBE done early in the morning, first thing. Okay, so wherever you are, whatever you're doing, I recommend a mixed daily set every day, 7 days a week. How many questions, John? 40, 45, could be 35, 40, depending on the set, 40, 45. Feeling really good and you have the time, you want to stretch it to 45, 50. Anywhere in that 40 to 45 number, mix set, and I recommend again in exam mode, seeing one question after the other, practicing taking the test. Okay, that's important. So if you're doing 10 fewer, 10 more, either way, time constraints, you're doing them at night after a day of work. I need to balance my writing, John. You're doing 25, 30, all good. There's no magic number. You're trying to see as many hypos as you can. That's the idea. Not to memorize hypos. That's the other problem people have. You're just trying to see. That's what that third party one looks like. That's the parole evidence one. That's the commerce clause. That's the dormant commerce clause one. You're just trying to see these hypos. So when you see it again on the day of the bar, it's not the first time or the second, hopefully the third, fifth, or seventh. Mixed daily set, exam mode. I also recommend picking a random MBE topic a day. Random MBE topic. Today's my tort day. Tomorrow's my property day. And from the moment you get up till the moment you go to sleep, on your breaks, taking the train or the car into work, making dinner, waiting online at Starbucks, sitting on the couch, whatever time that is, when you're not officially studying or working, you can hear and say those buzzwords over and over again. Push those words out. The more the buzzwords are at the tip of your tongue and not in the back of your head under the dust, the more when you see those buzzwords in the answer choices, they bounce off the page. And you remember what tort, what crime, what amendment, what hearsay exception those buzzwords relate to. Remember, I said the first two times. The number one reason people get down to two, the reason you like the other answer is because it has words and phrases you know something about, you just can't remember. Is that IID or NID? Larceny by trick or false pretenses? Which one's a title one again? That kind of stuff. So the more words that you remember and can contrast between the two, the more wrong answers are going to look wrong and the more the right answers are going to look right. So fundamentally, a mixed daily set in exam mode and pushing those rules out of at least one topic, I think is minimum where you need to be. If you find that there's a single topic that is still a problem for you, had a bad day, just don't feel as good about that subject, then you could also reduce your daily set by 3, 4, 5 questions. And separately, totally separate, after you do your mixed set, you can do a set of 5, 6, or 7 questions of a single topic. Today, I'm going to do some extra property questions. Today, I'll do some extra contract questions. Not to worry about the percentage, just to see a couple of those hypos. I know property is coming now. Let me just focus on what this looks like. You follow? As a reading review, if you will, of the questions. You want to do your mix set because you want to feel better and better about going from one subject to the other, the physical taking the test, answering one question after the other. So you don't want to do 50 tort questions. You don't want to do 35 intentional tort questions. Too many people do these subtopic little exams. So of course they're at 95%, duh, because you know what's coming and it's a limited universe of those questions. Don't do that. You want to do a smaller set of a topic just to see some extra examples. I think that's fine. A lot of people will ask me, what about the 100 question exams on AdaptiBar, John? If I haven't done them already, does it pay to do them? If you're sure, I would do them when I know I've got good time. If you're working late, you're coming home and you're trying to get to studying at night, or you're having to do your essay stuff, I would leave it for the weekend, like this weekend on a Saturday or Sunday. I would do the 100. And this way, for your timing, for your confidence, that's fine. I wouldn't be doing them the weekend before the bar. No, this weekend or very early next week would be the last time I would do a large amount of a practice test. I'm not a big 200 question practice test person after you've done one. I'm more about doing the 40, 45, or 50 every day, 7 days a week, because again, that really builds that consistency. You can guess right on a couple of questions one day and the number looks good, or you could just been exhausted that day and you do a little worse. But you do 35, 40 every single day times 7 days over the course of a week, man, that's going to be a good representation of where you're at. Speaking of that, I also say that one day a week, generally speaking, more people have one day where they're at 78%. And one day you're at 52 or 50. Throw out the high, throw out the low. Don't get too excited about the good day. Don't get too depressed about the bad day. Usually on the good day, you either saw some extra questions in a subject you liked, you guessed right on 2 or 3, which is totally great and fine, or on the bad day, you finally got some of the weird questions. Remember, in every program that you use, eventually, like now, you're going to see some of the weird ones, some of the very difficult ones pop up more often than not. Because if you've got 350 questions or so per topic, eventually you're going to get some of the really, really tough ones. So after you've done 800, 1,000, 1,500, however many questions you guys are doing, eventually you're going to see some of the weird ones. So people tell me my numbers are going down a little bit, John. Again, that's what I'm always saying, is to be honest with yourself. Are they going down because you are getting a little sloppy and missing questions you shouldn't be? Because you're getting tired pushing too many questions too quickly? Are you getting a little bad with the reading comp? Or your torts is going down, John. It was at 70. Crim law is going down. I'm freaking out. Are you getting a little lazy with your review of the law? What sounded and felt good a couple of weeks ago, now all of a sudden you're starting to forget. This is again where the balance comes in. So that's why you want to do your mix set every day for the maintenance, the reading comp, one after another, the discipline, all the things I talk about. But you also want to have that time to push out that law in a given subject. You have a day where you feel like, I think I could do some tort in the morning and some crim law in the evening and shake it up a little bit and do 2. Okay. You feel like you want to do property for 2 days and really give yourself more time to review more law. Again, nothing is set in stone. It's the balance. Some recitation of law, some practicing in a practice set. If you need to, a small set of questions in one topic just for that confidence and for your ability to see more hypos. All of that is great. But everything should be tempered with, if you are taking another portion of the exam, to leave yourself that time for your essay prep, MPT, etc. The MBE score is supposed to help, but you don't want to feel like you're trying to get 88% of the questions right because you're going to bomb the essays. It's too much pressure. And again, like I always talk about, and I think I said last time, since in every jurisdiction, I think every jurisdiction, the writing, whatever state you're in, comes first, day one on Tuesday. So you really want that day to go as good or decently as you can. So you do wake up on Wednesday feeling like, hey, I've got a good shot at this. I just have to read these questions the way I've been reading them, and I'm going to be okay. Tuesday does not. You feel too much pressure to get too many multiple choice questions right. You squeeze the pencil too tight. You're putting too much pressure on yourself, and that's when things go the other way. So the balance is key. Not every day is 50-50, but you get my point. You're feeling really good on MBE, but you're worried about a couple subjects on essay. You want to reduce the amount of questions you're doing today and focus, and this way it buys you an extra hour or more to do a little more essay writing or empathy. All great. Good. Again, just play with it's all fluid. That's why I'm saying there's no set number. You're just doing some practice. Good? Good. And again, 100 or 200 question tests, that should be this weekend, and then you're just balancing your practice for with both parts of the test. To me, I think if you're doing a 2-day exam, next Sunday, a week from Sunday, should be your last day generally of practicing new, fresh MBE questions, generally speaking. So that Monday, you're resting, and if you're doing anything as far as bar prep is concerned, other than resting, you're focusing on your essay rules and essay prep and all of that stuff. So you're really, really going into Tuesday morning feeling as good as you can about that essay stuff, right? And if I'm only taking MBE, yeah, so that Monday could be your last day, and you give yourself that chance for Tuesday just to take it easy and relax and all of that good stuff. As far as Tuesday night or Tuesday, if you're only taking the MBE, what should I do? Should I do practice questions the night before, John? No, I absolutely don't believe in that. Should I do practice questions the morning of? No. What I do know is that a lot of people will tell me that, especially coming out after the writing portion being so intense on Tuesday, that they feel like they almost like need some questions to warm up, or it's very difficult to make the transition from the writing back to MBE. So one little trick, if you want to call it, that I found that I believe in is you can go and flag some of the stupidest reading mistakes that you've made from a handful of questions and kind of save them to your site in your past question link, etc. And say, you know what? On Tuesday night, just laying in bed nice and easy, or Tuesday during the day if I have some time, if I'm only taking MBE, Wednesday morning, if you're up early before you leave to go to the convention center, I like people to just say, hey, I'm going to read through 5, 6, 7 questions that I know I screwed up, my fault, that I easily can get right now as a warm up. So by the time you're already in the convention center, you've already read through a tort question, a criminal law question, an evidence question. You're hearing your little voice go back over those fundamentals, issue spotting, slow down, reading comp, what is each answer about, blah, blah, blah. And you're not reading the mistakes that you made to kind of beat yourself up. You're just saying, okay, you see, these are easy questions I can get right. Because you really want to focus the day or two in the morning of the bar on the reading part of the test, not the law test. Some people feel like I like to look at my outlines the night before, but okay, listen, if it's going to make you feel good, I want everyone to be in a position they're building as much confidence as they practically can. Of course, I want you to do whatever is comfortable for you. And that's the other thing I'll segue quickly. I always joke about, stay off online, don't talk to too many people because everyone's got a different opinion and you get confused. By the time you get to this stage, you know how you need to prepare. You know what you know, and you know what you're a little wishy-washy on. You know what's going to make you feel more relaxed and more comfortable. So you do what's in your own heart and your own mind when you look at yourself in the mirror to do. So when you sit down at that table, like I always say, this is the most individual exam you'll ever take. So when that proctor says go, you want to feel like you've prepared as much as you can. Having said that, you want to feel like whatever law you know, you know. I'm going to trust that. But I see now, John, you were right. I can really steal an extra 3, 4, 5, 6 in the morning and 4, 5, 6, 7 in the afternoon just by reducing some of those silly mistakes. Do I read too fast? Do I need to focus on slowing down? That should be the last message in your head that you're telling yourself. Do I get down to those two answers before I know what I'm looking for? Do I know what I'm looking for, but when I see an answer that's not exactly written the way I like it, I always pick the other one that looks better and sounds better with the legalese. That I got to stop. I got to be more specific to what the facts are talking about. You follow? Those little messages of what are you doing wrong? What are your common mistakes? Because the more you focus on that Tuesday night and Wednesday morning right before you go, that's what you'll see. That's what your brain's going to tell you when you're sitting in that room. And if you get to a couple of questions where you can listen, yeah, I see, this is what I used to do. I would have picked A, but I see now, no, it's C. You save yourself those couple in the morning and couple in the afternoon. Man, that could be the whole difference right there, as stupid as that sounds. So I like Tuesday night or Wednesday morning to kind of have 5, 6, 7 questions prepared that I can't, John would kill me if he saw that I did this. Oh my God, reckless, negligent. How could I do that? The guy didn't have the intent. It was the man, not the friend. All these stupid little mistakes. I'll take responsibility for those. And he's right. If I just did this, this, and this better, oh my God, where would my percentage be? Those are huge points to be getting. Speaking of that, I'm in the room. The proctor finally says, begin. Okay? Everybody else is going to be wanting to be the first one to rip open the book and do the first question. Don't do that. Take a deep breath, close your eyes, and just literally say to yourself, slow down. This is a reading test. Let me just read carefully. Go. Make it a reading test, not a speed test. I said the first 2 times. Get the first one done. That doesn't mean you pass. Usually it means you blew through too many questions too quick and you missed all the keywords and phrases. Where's that going to get you? Slow down. Be more careful. The goal is to get more questions correct. Have you noticed that you're that person that starts out really hot and then you hit the wall? Do I need to slow down a little and ease into things? Do I need to, on question 50 or 150, put the pencil down, rub my neck, take a deep breath, 10 seconds, just read. Some sort of a reset mentally, just to kind of say, okay, wait a minute. Do you need to do it every 20, 30 seconds? Questions. Do you need to kind of hear your voice say, okay, am I glazing? What am I doing? Okay, I'm taking like, wait a minute. You know what? I need to take a 10-second break. Do whatever you need to hear the voice. A lot of first-time takers are so hyped up and they want to finish. They're just flying through and they don't even know what the hell they're doing. When you took your 200 question simulated exam, did you do significantly better in the first half versus the second, or vice versa? Figure that out. Pace yourself. You want to give yourself a chance at as many questions as possible. So when you know you need that, take the 10, 20-second break, put the pencil down, stretch, rub your eyes, whatever you need to do, and just do that mental reset. You want to hear the little voice in your head as much as you possibly can, giving you all these fundamental tips about issue spotting. Why am I picking A? Why is B wrong? What is each answer about? Slow and steady is going to get you a lot more points than fast and bubbling in circles. This is just anecdotal. There's no data on this. There's no press release on this. This is just something that after 20-something years of being at a bar exam, I hear all the time. Sometimes it's real. Sometimes it is more of a perception. But a lot of people half the people will come out of the morning session and feel like, hey, that was like doing another 100 on AdaptiBar. I think I got 85 right. The other half of the people feel like, hey, what the hell was going on with those questions? That was really, really tough. And then in the afternoon, it flips. Okay? One session seems to be more direct or more to the point than another one. No one says anything about this, but I believe that one of those sessions, morning or afternoon, seems to have a couple of extra of the densely written questions, tougher questions, tougher to distinguish the correct answer between A versus B, harder to read, harder to spot the issue. Sometimes, again, it's just in our heads, but it feels that way. And like I said, perception is reality. So if you're feeling really good at lunch, great, I'm proud of you. But if you end up seeing a bunch of extra questions in the afternoon, hey, I don't know, this is a little weird. This is weirdly worded. I never recognized this before. Don't panic. Don't panic. You just got the one session a little more difficult, and that doesn't mean they're impossible questions. It just means the reading is a little more delicate and difficult, and you have to be more careful with your issue spotting. Sometimes it happens in the morning, and you don't feel great at lunch, don't panic. It's going to turn around in the afternoon and you're going to have tons of questions they're literally handing to you. But you don't want to go back in there already psyched out because then again, you're not going to trust yourself on the ones you should be getting. What does John always say? No matter who you are and which book you get when, there's generally 30 questions or so that nobody in the country is really going to know. It's never about those questions. It's about what those questions do to your confidence, your consistency, and your reading. They're geniuses at knowing where to put the weird, the densely written, and two, three, four in a row that can kind of make you crazy. Don't let them do that. You're going to have some adversity. You're going to have a bad patch. You're going to have some tough questions. That's okay. The whole country has it. The question is, can you maintain your poise through it? You with me? This is huge. You're not going to blow through 200 like it's a piece of cake. I don't care if you did 10,000 AdaptiBar questions and you're at 80%. It doesn't matter. This is what they do. So you're just trying to minimize the bad patches by saying, wait a minute, I don't really know this. What should I do? Well, I know that line 3 in that fact pattern is the most important thing. So whatever that fact pattern says, that's what I'm going to shut up and pick. That's what I'm going to do. If you have no idea what to do, I've never seen the question before. I have no idea what the law is. What can everybody in the country do? They could basically say, I know that thing up there in line 3, line 6, line 9. That's the most important thing. I don't know what it means, but I know answer choice C is the only one that talks about it. I can connect those dots and I can shut up and pick it. And if you leave knowing that on all 200 questions, all of them, whether you knew it right away or you had no idea, every answer you bubbled in was the most specific answer to what the facts say, I know you have enough points to pass. Which leads me to my next tip. Don't skip. Don't skip any questions. I'm really opposed to this, okay? I know there's a lot of schools of thought out there. I'm not. Why? The first easy one is if you skip one and you ruin the Scantron, you're totally done and the whole operation goes down the tubes. It's not worth one or two questions for that. Two, the other point though is when someone skips a question they don't like, don't know, all that kind of stuff, skipping are like potato chips. You can never just do one. You're never going to skip one question. As soon as you skip number 8 or 9, you're going to skip 18, 28, 48, 78, etc. Now at 11:45 in the morning or at 4:30 in the afternoon, what do you now have to do? I got to go back and do 6, 8, 9, 10, or 11 questions I didn't want to do 3 hours ago when I was a lot more awake and alert. So what are you going to do? I'm just going to Christmas tree them and now I gave away 7, 8, 9, 10 questions. To me, that's ridiculous. Why are you studying all this time and practicing if you're just going to give questions away? So when you get the 2 or 3 or the 1, hey, I don't really know this. Again, I can always dumb down the facts. I can say, wait a minute, that's the most important thing and connect the dot. Sometimes you read a question, and I say this all the time in all the different subjects. Sometimes at first blush, the question looks longer, denser, weirder, but it actually is an easier question. Sometimes the smaller, the shorter ones are the ones that really are going to get you based on a word or two. I've looked at thousands and thousands of questions, and I've told many of my own students, boy, you see this one? This looks a little scary. It's really not that bad. What's my mantra? Dumb every hypo down. The longer and denser it is, they know you've only got the same 1.8 minutes to do the question as the little questions over there. They're not stupid, far from it. So usually, chances are, if it's a little denser, a little longer, the whole thing is just going to come down to a sentence, a word, something. At least give yourself a chance. And again, this is where I'm always talking about confidence. You can't touch or feel, you can't touch confidence, but you can feel it. It's like momentum, right? Like in that game last weekend, you could feel the momentum. You could feel who has it. You can feel who doesn't. And when one team starts to get a little back, everybody kind of gets that antsy. You know what I'm talking about. It's there in the air. That's taking these questions, right? When you're doing your practice, what I always like to say, you get 2 out of the first 3 right when you start practicing, you know you're going to have a good day. You're sitting up in the chair, my chest is out, I'm feeling good. I think I'm Chief Justice Roberts. I think I can do this, right? You miss the first 2 out of 3 for whatever reason. Uh-oh, here we go. I'm going to have a bad day. See, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm already freaking out. That's also why I recommend doing the questions in exam mode these next couple of weeks, because you want to wean off of that whole, am I right? Am I right? Am I right? The bar exam is never about the last question. The bar exam is always about the next question, having the same consistent approach on the next one, the next one, the next one. They say in sports all the time, it's always about the next play. There's nowhere to throw the ball, throw it away. Let's live to another. Not, my guys don't know about that, but real professional football teams, not mine, but the real ones. What does the quarterback do? He throws it away. Let's play the next play. Doesn't matter. That mental toughness, they call it grit now. You have to have that toughness of intellectually, rationally. I know when I'm doing my practice sets now. I know when I take the bar exam. I'm not getting 200 right. I know I'm not. I'm not going to know every single rule. No, but I have to act and read and select like I am. The great athletes, they don't make all the shots in basketball, but the guys that make $100 million shoot like they're going to make it. They're confident. You can see it, you can feel it. That's how you need to be in that room. I'm reading with confidence. I will know a lot. Some I'll have to, evaluate there in the facts. Some I'll have no idea. But even when I don't know, I can always say to myself, that's the most important, that's the only one on point, and I'm going to shut up and pick it. Because as long as you know that every answer you bubbled in, as I keep saying, is based on what the facts said, not what you think, you're going to pass. Every answer choice should be based on what that thing says, not what you think, which is where I also say that as long as you're following that approach, that you're going with what it said and not what you think, you're minimizing a lot of those bad mistakes. You will disagree with many of the conclusions the questions come to. I agree with you. That's a stupid question. That's a stupid way to work. It shouldn't be unconstitutional. No matter what, when you know that's the correct answer, I'm sticking with it because otherwise you're going to start second guessing and the whole thing goes downhill. So give yourself a chance on every question as it comes up. So when you get to question 100, you get to 200, you're done and you can leave nice and easy. The goal is not to be the first one done. The goal is to get more correct. So again, it's all about approach. It's all about why you're picking A. It's all about why B, C, D are wrong. You're not going to get them all. Also, though, if sorry, I got off track. If you maintain your poise, if you say, I don't know this, I forgot this, you will forget some of the names of the rules, but you'll know where the question is going. When you panic because you don't remember the name of the rule, and that's why people are always kind of trying to read their outlines like right before the test, like they're shoving all the law in there. Okay, but again, the problem with that is for the MBE, it worked in school, or not even all the ways, but it worked in school more because you only had one subject. Now you can't be flying through 7 outlines at the same time. It's too much. It's too intimidating. You want to trust that I know enough. But if I forget the name, the buzzword, don't worry about it. Don't panic here. Okay? And what do they call in sports? The athlete gets too tense. That's called choking. They're choking because they're getting so tense they physically can't perform. That's the same thing with the mind. So you're reading the hypo. I know that's the I can't remember. But what is it in plain English? How did you know that that's what it was about? What sentence in the facts did you read that should have told you, that did tell you that's what it's about? Keep that. Because if when you go into the answers, and when you're looking at the answers, you literally will be able to talk yourself into the correct answer. Because all of a sudden, those things are going to pop up. You will recognize it. Trust me when I tell you, you will recognize it. Okay? Don't say, I don't know what this is, let me look. Because when you say, I don't know what this is, let me look, what are you basically doing? You're basically going eeny, meeny, miny, mo. And you're just picking an answer that sounds good, that legally may be correct, but has nothing to do with the facts. That's why, again, your whole focus has to be on this is more of a reading test by exam day, not a law test. You feel like you know enough law, then you're okay. As far as the law, again, is concerned, that's why I preach the constant repetition of law, not reading and watching all of the material. If you feel like, hey, I need an extra hour today, John, an extra 2 hours of just a property review. Okay, if you know you need it, then take it, of course. But don't turn the one day of reviewing my rules into 3 days of property review and not be practicing questions or reviewing other stuff. Because now it's one marathon session on one, you're going to get rusty on the other 6. It's the juggling that's important. You follow? So put the law back in what you can. And again, in some of those subjects like property and contracts, I still stink at remedies, John. I can't get the future interest down. What do you recommend? Again, I recommend reviewing the rules and trying to focus on the things that you can know, the stuff you could, the definitional remedies. Some of those math problems for the remedies, it's enough for it. Leave it alone. One or two questions, maybe. It's not worth it. Get more of the definition questions right. Get the ones you can. The springing, shifting, 102-year-old woman with 16 kids, leave it alone. But I can get right of reversion versus possibility of reverter versus right of reentry. All the names just begin with an R. Just put them in the right place and you got two or three more questions right. So the material you're still nervous about, worried about, the difficult stuff, get the stuff that you can, leave the other stuff away. What does usually happen sometime in the next couple of weeks is you come across a question in your practice set and you say, that's that executory, that's that weird, that's the loss volume seller one. Okay, forget the law. It's too late for that. If I saw this hypo again on the bar, is there something I could study from this fact pattern? Could I see something in that fact pattern that now in the light of day, I'm not trying to study 7 subjects. I'm just sitting here studying this hypo. This guy does that, and then he doesn't do this. So here's the goods, and so they're telling me the answer is C. So if I saw this again, is there something in the facts that would tell me this is what it is? Try to use the facts almost again like a mental screenshot. So if I saw this again and it's testing me on this rule, is there something I could pick up on? Take the $100 highlighter all of you have and highlight or flag somewhere in that fact pattern. Okay, if I see this again, I think that's all I need to do. I think I got it now. That's 5 minutes of review is going to be much more effective than reading 45 minutes of law, which if 3 years of law school and bar prep hasn't fixed it, you're not going to fix it the Wednesday before the bar exam. Okay, but you can recognize what it looks like on a question because ultimately on the bar, that's all you need to do is recognize the fact pattern in 1.8 minutes. So you're trusting what you know, always be refreshing what's falling out. If you don't remember something on the day of the bar, don't worry, you already recognized it. Just go into the answers using your plain English version of the definition and you'll talk yourself into the correct answer. Don't pick the weird Latin phrase just because it's the weird Latin phrase. But if I absolutely have no freaking idea what the hell's going on, I can always basically say, that's the most important sentence. C is the only answer talking about it, and that's what I'm going to go with. Doesn't mean you're getting them all right, but it means you're going to stay consistent on 200 questions. Muscle memory, I read everyone exactly the same. I'm trusting, I'm confident, and when I'm done, I'm done. I don't have to go back and do hundreds of more, 5 or more questions, 10 more questions. I'm done. And I can get up and leave. The consistent muscle memory approach is what's going to net you the extra X number of questions in the morning or the afternoon. Mix set every day. Exam mode. Some review of law, pushing those words out. You forget, you have your notes next to you, you shove it back in your head. You feel you need to do a small set of property or contracts just for the extra practice. Don't worry, do them and don't worry about the number. You're just doing them to see those hypos, to practice what that stuff looks like. Perfectly fine. Maintain that set, a couple more one day, some fewer the next day to maintain your writing so you have that balance. Because remember, the goal isn't to kill the MBE. The goal is to do it well enough on the MBE to help you on the other portion and pass. Sunday night or Monday, I stop MBE. The night before the morning of, I can always walk through some of my own stupid mistakes just to feel like I'm working on my reading. I'm focusing on my reading. I'm focusing on the kind of mistakes that I make, and I will be looking for those kind of questions on the bar. I get in there. I'm nervous. I'm clammy. Lastly, my tip is the whole country is nervous, but that doesn't mean you're going to be afraid. I always talk about the difference between being nervous and being afraid. You're afraid when you don't know the material. Nerves, everyone's nervous. I'm in Tampa and I'm nervous and I don't have to take the test, thank God. So everyone's nervous, but you don't want to be afraid. So use the nerves to help you, jack you up. The adrenaline's pumping. We're all exhausted. It gets you going. But when that proctor says begin, breathe, slow. So I'm focusing more each question on my reading and not trying to be the first one done. Have that good approach, have that consistency. If it goes really good in the morning, fantastic. Temper the enthusiasm and just be careful in the afternoon, but don't freak out. You had a handful of extra tougher questions in the morning. Don't freak out. It's going to be much more direct and easy in the afternoon. Just scoop up every question you can. I know I'm not getting them all, but I can act like I am. That muscle memory consistency is going to net you enough points to pass. Stay confident. The way you stay confident is keep reciting the law to prove to yourself, not to me, not to your mother, not to anybody else. I know enough of this, and whatever I'm forgetting, I can shove back in my head. So when you walk in that room, you feel like when they yell begin and I open up that book, I'm in total control now. They can't do anything to me. I know enough law, and if I read enough of these questions correctly and the right way, like John says, I got this. Get one more right than you need. Not 50, but if you read that consistently, you'll end up with 10 or 20 more than you actually need. Focus on consistency. Always be picking the most specific answer to what the facts say. Never pick an answer based on what you think. Always make it based on what the facts say. And most importantly, when you know, shut up and pick it. Good luck. God bless you. And we'll see you on the other side. Take care.